Senator Dianne Feinstein has evolved yet again, this time on the death penalty. This is a quote from her. "Several years ago, I changed my view of the death penalty." Several years ago. "It became crystal clear to me that the risk of unequal application is high and its effect on deterrence is low. It became so crystal clear and the stakes were so high that I decided to hide my position change for years." Wait, guys, why don't we have a graphic of that other part of the quote she said? No, she didn't actually say that. Her staff said the change of heart on capital punishment went largely unnoticed because Feinstein was rarely asked about it. They could not pinpoint exactly when this shift occurred. I love this in the LA Times article. "Numerous media reports, including some in the last year, have continued to mention Feinstein's support for the death penalty. Her office acknowledged that it had never sought to correct the record because they're not time travelers and they didn't know what she was going to switcheroo come primary time. That's why." But anyway, she has been not only pro-death penalty, but like actively, vigorously pro-death penalty for 73 years, I think. In 1996, she was the only Democrat to co-sponsor the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act, which among other things limited how many times a death penalty sentence can be appealed, because we gotta kill him, we gotta kill him fast, we can't wait for it to go through the process. Yeah, there's a number of other times that she sponsored things like that, but I'll throw it to the panel.
I mean, when she was first running in 1990 for a statewide seat, she was booed off the stage from delegates because she refused to not support, or she, I would just use a double negative. She wanted to support the death penalty, and everyone was like, no, no, and here you are in 2018 again, 2018, and somehow it's daring. This was known 20 years ago that innocent people were being executed on death row. Like, welcome to the program, Dianne. And I love how this is, capital punishment is bad. This is not a daring position to make. And her handlers were like, look, for the first time, you're not gonna coast through this primary. So quick, find a progressive policy position, quick, quick, quick. And this was the best she could do. I love how on her website it says, I support healthcare for all. She cannot say, of course, she supports Medicare for all. And we know what she did with the last bill in California. She refused to even support that. It's just unbelievable, the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look at her weasel words, she doesn't say that she's against the death penalty. She says that it's being applied inconsistently. So it's not the fact that the state is killing people that she's against, it's how we're killing people. And every time she says a sentence, applied is in there.
Yeah, she also said its effect on deterrence is low. I guess non-existent is low. She's technically right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But my point there is that she's attempting to maintain the foundation that is used rhetorically for the death penalty, even while ostensibly turning against it.
Well, she loves Republican talking points. Earlier this year, when she was in a town hall, when asked about Medicare for all, she said, "I'm not for a government takeover of the entire healthcare system." That's not what Medicare for all is. That's the Republican lie about Medicare for all. Although, her position might change next week. And Abby's point about how she was booed off the stage, she then took that clip and used it in commercials saying, Republicans, I'm as vicious as you are. Look, progressives don't like me, and so vote for me. And that worked back then. So, which leads us to the main point here. Look, Sarah Weil, writing for the LA Times here, largely a very good job in pointing out, hey, there was a lot of opportunities to say that the media was wrong about your position when you didn't take those opportunities. In other words, she's going as far as the mainstream press can go to point out her inconsistency, right? Now, later in the article, she attributes it to a state senator who has said almost nothing about the death penalty. That's very frustrating and poor reporting, in my opinion. And this is what the mainstream press does all the time. Earlier, Dianne Feinstein changed her position on marijuana and said, all right, fine, I still hate it and it should be illegal, but you shouldn't arrest the people in California, my state, at the federal level since we made it legal. That was not her position. She agreed with Jeff Sessions completely and thought you should arrest the people in California earlier. So who beat her up on that? Well, Alison Hartson. That is another person running against her in the campaign. She ran an ad on that. De Leon had no position. Alison ran an ad and the press then was like, well, it must be the state senator. In fact, in one of the stories they said, he doesn't seem to have done anything on this issue, but I guess it must have been him. Or you might want to dig just a little deeper, right? So Alison ran the ad. A week later, Feinstein changes her position on marijuana. Alison's been beating her up on the death penalty, and by the way, so have we. So who in the race, other than Alison Hartson or us, has been talking about how Dianne Feinstein is not vigorously for the death penalty, but viciously for the death penalty? So But nope. If you're not in the establishment, you don't get credit. We're the one pounding her on this, and as well we should, because she's not a progressive. And later, at one point, she was referred to as a moderate Democrat. Will you stop it? She's not a moderate Democrat. She's a conservative Democrat. I mean, what do you need to do to be called a conservative? Voted for Bush's Iraq War, voted for Bush's tax cuts, was for the death penalty, against marijuana legalization, and hence against criminal justice reform. And the list goes on and on. She gave her own husband hundreds of millions of dollars, or helped her husband to get hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts after she started the war in Iraq. So that's pretty convenient. And the list goes on and on. She's one of the most conservative Democrats in California. In the country. And she represents California. Call her what she is. Okay, now, but that gets to why people hate politicians. Because they're obvious liars. So Sarah Wire and other people at the LA Times can't say that. I understand that. That's not what they do, right? That's our job to call it like it is, okay? Now they have to go, well, I mean, I have to be respectful, No. But real people know what Dianne Feinstein and politicians like her are. Absolute liars. So she did not change her position years ago and keep it secret. Who believes that? Who? Even if you're a Dianne Feinstein supporter, whoever you are, is there like a person in California who's like, Dianne Feinstein, yay! For what? For what? Right?
I think there are.
No. Don't get me wrong. No, they're not. There are people who will vote for her because that's the only name they know.
Yep, right.
Right, and that's the only choice that they've been given by the establishment press, who help her in every other imaginable way, right? And she is the power of incumbency. I get all that. But are there people who are like enthused? Like, yes, Dianne Feinstein changed her position a little bit on marijuana and death penalty. I'm going to go vote for her. But then why don't you vote for the people who didn't have to change their position? And who aren't obvious liars. She didn't change it years ago. Even if you are that magical, mythical Dianne Feinstein advocate in California, do you believe she changed it years ago but never told anyone? You don't believe that. And you know that she's lying through her teeth here when she says it. Finally, that gets us to maybe even a more important point, because everybody knows, outside of the establishment press, everyone knows politicians are liars, right? Which is primaries matter. When progressives primary their conservative Democratic opponents, what happened? In New York, Andrew Cuomo immediately disbands the so-called independent Democrats. What happened? I thought you had nothing to do with them. All of a sudden, I'm challenged. Okay. Progressives wanted me to get rid of that group. I got rid of that group. Feinstein. Oh, fine, okay, you guys want to smoke weed. Okay, fine. Sessions, don't arrest them. Wink, wink. Is she going to insist on that if she's reelected? No way. She's never going to mention it again. Is she going to go campaign against the death penalty? No way. She's a total liar. But at least because of pressure, because of primaries, she's like, oh yeah, now I got to go on the record and be against the death penalty. God damn it, I wanted to keep murdering them, but I can't, because now I have a progressive in a primary. You should primary every conservative Democrat, every corporate Democrat, every so-called moderate Democrat. At least they get to pretend, we force them into pretending to be progressives for a little while.
I mean, it just should be offensive to progressives. It really is offensive to me that this is the issue that she'll eke slightly to the left on, only because it doesn't hurt big business, only because it doesn't make a dent in her millions of dollars of corporate donations. It's disgusting.
Great point. She's only moving on things that do not affect her corporate donors. So you want to move on all the wars you started in the past and that you're in favor of today? You want to move on that? No, you don't want to move on that. You got a lot of defense contractors paying your bills, right? You want to move on Medicare for all? No, you're willing to take any kind of heat. You know what she did after the town hall where she said, no, Medicare for all is a government takeover? A week later, she went, or maybe 2 weeks later, did fundraisers with health insurance companies. She's like, remember, I'm a sellout who works for you, so give me money. And they're like, yeah, perfect. We've been giving you money all along and gotten great return on our investment. So Dianne Feinstein, the enormously corrupt politician from California, is the one we will support. By the way, establishment press, again, this was one of the better articles, right? But everyone else, are you guys paying any attention? Are you guys reporters? You want to talk about the corruption? You want to pretend that she has a genuine opinion about healthcare? No, she gets paid to have these opinions.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, this should be the most obvious thing in the world, but I think she's a perfect example of there is this new wave of senators and candidates in the primaries who are rejecting corporate donations to their campaigns. A lot of others are too scared or too weak and think, well, I mean, people don't actually like me. If I don't have this money, I have no chance of actually winning. She's been a senator for decades. She has universal name recognition in California, and she is fabulously wealthy and could self-finance her campaigns. She has zero need of those corporate donations if she actually wanted to just run on her positions and on her values, and she chooses not to.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I don't know if I've made this clear, so I'll double down on it. Dianne Feinstein is the heart of corruption. This is systemic corruption. It's the epitome of it. John is exactly right. It is a choice she's making. She's been corrupt for so long that she doesn't know anything but corruption. I take corporate donor money, I do as they tell me to do, and even though her husband's a billionaire, you know how she started the race? She gave herself $5 million for the campaign. She has $80 million on top of her husband's money. She could be a progressive lion and make everybody else push in a progressive direction. She could outflank Bernie Sanders to the left if she wanted to. The thing is, she doesn't want to because she grew up in a system that was deeply corrupt. She succeeded in a system that was deeply corrupt. For her, the corruption is not the bug, it's the feature. You must vote her out of office.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.